welcome to this week's video. My name's Lynda Gaiao. Today we are taking a look at trait 40, Deliverance. Trait 40 is all about the love of work. It's about being able to apply your willpower, the energy that comes from willpower, to work really hard to deliver some type of results, to bring in some kind of results for the work, for the effort that you've put in. Now, if we've ever had something in our lives where we've felt that we needed a certain amount of willpower to get through it, many of us will know that we can only do something with willpower for so long, and then eventually we need to take a rest. It's very similar to when we think about how the heart beats. There's a beat and then there's a rest, and then there's a beat and then there is a rest. And this is exactly how the energy works in the willpower function. There's a period of working, applying yourself in a really focused and hard way, but then there needs to be time to rest. Now, if we look back in history, in times gone past, there were kings and pharaohs and leaders that essentially took people and used them as slaves and worked them for a ridiculous number of hours per day, didn't give them adequate rest, didn't make sure that their needs were met, and those people would eventually just drop dead. Now, the energy that comes with trait 40, this energy of deliverance, has really almost driven the change in how we see the workplace practices being implemented on workers. And what I mean by that is ensuring that people have rest, that they have time, breaks during their work, time to go on vacation, and these types of things. So there's this real sense of, yes, I can apply my willpower to this, and yes, I can step in as the role of provider for my team or for my community, for my business, for my family. But at the end of the day, this is about a bargain. I'll put the work in, I'll put the effort in, but I want to see some kind of reward for the work that I've done. And this reward may simply be your appreciation. It may be that you support me in return in some way, that there's some kind of emotional support, or that you feed me, you provide me lunch during my work hours, in return for the work or the effort that I put in. And when we look at this from a business perspective, the person that can really apply the energy of trait 40 is somebody like a foreman, somebody who oversees all of the workers and ensures that their workplace conditions are optimum, that they are working when they need to work, and that they get a chance to rest when they need to rest. And the foreman would be someone that you would go to, for example, if you suddenly got a massive order and you needed to ramp up production or delivery of a product or service, and you could go to the foreman and you could say to them, right, we've got this massive order and it needs to be delivered to the client in X time frame. What do we need to provide to all of our staff in order to ensure that that order is delivered and sent out to the client in the necessary time frame? And the person with the 40, so the foreman in this instance, will be able to say, look, we don't actually have the staff or the resources to deliver it in the time frame that you are requiring. We would need an extra week from what you're saying with our existing resources, or we need to bring additional people in to be able to do that. And I could speak to the staff and we could agree to perhaps longer working hours for the staff for this period of time, but in return, they need to get extra rest or extra time to play when this is over. And there would be kind of this negotiation that would occur between the foreman and the person requiring the work to establish these healthy boundaries around work and rest. And because there's a bargain that's in place, there is this need to often to check in on those bargains and, if necessary, renegotiate those bargains to ensure that there is this sense of, people are getting what they need, the work that needs to be done is being done. People are applying themselves, but at the end of the day, they are also getting the rest that they need. So we really need to come to this place of people loving the work that they're doing, applying themselves in this concentrated or this, really working hard, but ultimately feeling the sense of satisfaction for delivering on their promises. And then the reward that they get is that recognition or that appreciation, or for seeing how important they are in the overall process. So when, in the story example that I shared, some kind of recognition on a company-wide level to thank everyone for how hard they've worked to produce whatever needed to be produced in the time frame, and maybe even a recognition letter from the client thanking them for meeting on their requirements to get that job done in that particular time frame. One of the things that Trade 40 has also brought to our awareness is that this does not have to be the planet of suffering, because when we treat people fairly, when we give them the rest that they deserve, when we give them the vacation time, people have their chance to rest. They have their chance to kind of disconnect from the work environment, and then they come back with renewed energy. They come back with that willingness to do the work. The other aspect that comes into play here is that Trade 40 really does have the willingness to work for the good of the whole, as long as the people on the other end are keeping up their end of the bargain. If they're not keeping up their end of the bargain, then there's going to be this real disconnect, and that feeling of satisfaction is not going to come. So one of the things that is possible here is this opportunity to deny or hold back that willpower energy for work until that bargain has been established, until there's this fairness and the sense of, this is a correct and healthy bargain for me. We've renegotiated the terms, and there's this clarity now around what the bargain is, and that bargain is actually fair. Now, this allows us to maintain healthy boundaries, right? Because when the bargain is in place, when we know what the bargain contains and it has this clarity around it, we know exactly what's expected of us. We know when we're going to have to work, we know when we're going to get that rest time, and that time for rest, that time for recuperation is actually critical for the health of this ego energy, of this willpower energy. And the ego really loves to be massaged in a way, to have that recognition. So if that piece is not in place, then you're not going to get the same results from this energy. Now, in terms of a business, this is a great time for you to really have a look at your workplace conditions. Is there fairness? Do people have the opportunity to take the rest when they need to? Are they working at the level that is required? Is that bargain is in place? Is there that support mechanism? Do you have some kind of way of recognizing and appreciating and even rewarding people that are putting in that hard work? And this week is a great time for you to really investigate this. And perhaps there's some bargains in place that need to be renegotiated and re-established to ensure that you're going to get the most out of the people working for you, and they are going to feel as appreciated and rewarded for the effort and work that they put in. So this week, what I encourage you to pay attention to is just being aware of this willpower energy that's around, because it might actually feel like pressure to get things done, pressure to work, pressure to kind of commit your energy to something. And now is a great time to really check in with your decision-making strategy. Is this correct for you? Is it healthy for you? Is it time for you to apply this willpower energy or not? Then the other thing is to really check in, when is it time for you to work and when is it time for you to rest? A lot of people who are starting out in business, who are solo entrepreneurs, may have this tendency to work way more than what is potentially healthy for them. And this is a good time to check in to see, even if you're running your own business and you're a solopreneur, do you have a good structure in place to support yourself? where you are feeling recognized and rewarded for the work and the effort that you put in, and that you are taking that time to rest and recuperate. The balance between applying your will and having that rest from applying the will is important. We could talk about it as a work-life balance. Some people, when you love what you do, when you love your work so much, it can kind of feel as if you can just keep working all the time. But knowing that willpower energy, just like the heartbeat, has this time for beating and a time for resting, and ensuring that you have a good balance of that in whatever format you would like to interpret that. Now, are there any bargains in place? Bargains that you've made with yourself, bargains that you've made with others, and are these bargains fair? Do they need to be renegotiated? This week would be a great time to investigate that and look into that. I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. If you've got any comments or questions, please pop them below the video and I will gladly answer those. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you would like to be notified each week when a new video is released. Until next week, I hope you have a great week connecting into this willpower energy and seeing what is really correct and healthy for you.